Family First program, to introduce that. I think it's been around for a while, but Judge, why don't you explain that program and what it entails?
Sure. The Families First program actually began in, I would say, maybe September of 2018. It is a intervention program for parents who have mental health concerns or substance use disorders. And we have many community partners that we're working with. And our ultimate goal is to assist parents with addressing those concerns to improve parenting, co-parenting outcomes.
Well, very good. Magistrate, how does one access this? I mean, is it something that the court refers people to, or how does that work?
Well, we can also refer people, the court can, but attorneys, they can also request to be in the program. And it's a voluntary program, so both parties need to agree to participate.
Is that something that you can access outside of a court case? Does a motion have to be filed first?
No, actually, the litigants have to be involved, of course, in a divorce or a post-decree matter within the Cuyahoga County Domestic Relations Court, and there have to be children involved in the case since we're trying to improve co-parenting outcomes. And I'll let Bianca speak a little bit about the process of coming into the program because she is the person who is the point for that on our team.
So if an attorney or a litigant contacts our courtroom to say they'd like to be a part of the program, I'll complete a quick screening tool with them after I speak to their assigned jurist to make sure it's okay with them that the clients participate. And the quick screening takes all of about 15 to 20 minutes, and it's all self-report in regards to mental health and substance abuse history and things that the parents feel that they may have issues with. And then based on the outcome of their quick assessment, we then refer them to more mediation and counseling services. They're our case management agency, and they come up with a clinical assessment and individualized service plan for each family.
Great. For our listeners, if you'd like to ask the judge or our wonderful panel, anybody on our panel, a question about this issue, our call lines are now open. The number is 216-298, I apologize, 1554. That is 216-298-1554. If you don't mind, I have a question. So it seems in my history of doing domestic relations work that often enough an issue of substance abuse or mental health is intended to be used by one party as a weapon, if you will, to try to gain custody. And as the magistrate mentioned, this is a voluntary program. How do you get over that first hurdle to kind of coach people into the program, or how does that happen?
Well, I don't feel that we've really had to coach many people into the program. Litigants recognize the value of receiving services. So for some people, treatment, the cost of treatment or the availability of treatment or a knowledge about what services are available has been an impediment for them to better and improve their lives. And so because we come to the table with a full array of services and service providers, that people are very quickly embracing the program and the services that we offer. The program actually came about because of my experience as a magistrate and a practitioner in juvenile court, and also some background in mental health as a licensed social worker. Magistrate Jackson Winston is a LISWS social worker. So she with an extensive background in mental health. And Bianca is a former probation officer and assistant bailiff in juvenile court. So we kind of, came together, all of our different professional and life experiences, and I've been on the bench now for about 2 years in domestic relations court, and I saw that some of the same problems that I had to deal with as a practitioner or a jurist in juvenile court, they're present in domestic relations court as well. And so we began to put our heads together and pull together our community contacts and resources, and that's how the program developed. And so as we have offered that, array of services to attorneys and to litigants, they see it as a way to help families to resolve their problems and move forward in a positive way.
Does someone have to have a diagnosed mental health problem to get into the program? Because of course, in me and Mr. Cherry and I's experience, they come in and say, she's just crazy.
Right.
He's just crazy.
Right.
And then they're like, yeah, that sounds great. We'll get into this mental health and, about.
Right.
So how does that happen? That like, is there diagnosis needed?
They don't have to have a history of diagnosis or even a history of treatment at any level. If they are self-reporting some concerns regarding possible mental health symptoms or a pattern of substance use that's concerning, that's enough. We'll provide the initial clinical assessment to give them that concrete diagnosis, but they don't have to come in with a formalized label.
Well, I know I'm getting ahead, but like, it's self-reporting. What happens if like dad says, mom's crazy and we need this?
Well, I
And, like-
interview each parent individually.
Okay.
So dad can't influence mom's answers. So mom has to self-report, I'm struggling with A, B, and C.
Okay. So it can't, so you're trying to weed out I'm using this as a
Right,
weapon.
right.
You're right.
She calls me up and
Right.
just starts yelling at me. She's got mental health
Right,
problems.
and the
so that gets
assessment
weeded
tools
out.
don't allow space for what the other parent thinks. The assessment tools
Okay.
are solely based on what the individual feels they might be battling at the time.
Okay.
And you know what? And I think that we've been very fortunate in the cases that we have in the program now, where that doesn't happen. That people really want to see the other parent succeed because they know that it's in the best interest of their children that the other parent succeeds. And so, of course, there are, we put structure in regarding parenting time and things of that nature. So then, typically the parent who is the parent, let's just say, that's not receiving services, they're very glad that the court is providing more oversight because these cases come to court more frequently than other cases do.
Does the program act somewhat as like a mediator to like coordinate visitations? Like if there's let's say drug use. A lot of people come and say he shouldn't have any visitation until he gets this checked out. Does then the Families First program have to say, we can move forward with unsupervised if that was ordered? Like what control do they have over the case, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, they have a lot of input, but of course the judge ultimately has to say so.
Sure,
And I'm,
sure.
I'm pretty open with people up front with regards to how we anticipate a case will progress. So where if a family starts with supervised parenting time, then I'll say, okay, mom, dad, this is where we are now, but ultimately the goal is to be at this point. So, you just kind of accept those expectations from the beginning. And through our community partners, the DVCAC is one of our community partners. They supervise our parenting time. And so we receive reports from them. More counseling and mediation services provides case management services. Okay. So we have a good idea about what's happening as the case is progressing.
Okay. Go ahead.
What sort of oversight do you have during the case? So now, let's say Bianca's done her assessments and determined that one or both parents need some services, and they go and start availing themselves of services. How do you monitor progress?
Well, we have a treatment team that convenes once a month to review individualized service plans and progress on goals for each family. So the clinical assessment basically steers the ship. The clinical assessment will tell us what level of care each parent requires or what's recommended. The treatment team will then review that so that the judge and agencies working with the family know kind of what direction we're headed in. And then if the parents agree to participate, then services are made available to them, and the judge monitors them once a month. So the treatment team will update the judge on how Ms. Smith is doing in individualized services, how Mr. Smith is doing in IOP, things of that nature, and then we go from there. We review it every month. So as David was talking about the parenting schedule and what's supervised and unsupervised, that's subject to change at any hearing based upon compliance and success in treatment services.
Okay. Is there a phone number? Is this program for every judge?
Yes.
Okay, but you're the contact person
Yes.
for that. Moving up. That's fantastic. You got one person, so it's not like all. it's not all over the place.
Well, so it's for
So
every.
there's one person that's like, this is what it is, right?
So it's
Okay.
for any jurist in our court can refer a case to the program. But once the case is referred to the Families First program and the assessment is completed, then the case is assigned to, then transferred to my docket. If it's let's say if it's
Okay.
on Judge Celebreezy's docket.
Hard work, you're hard working. You get cases transferred to
We're
you from
busy.
other
Yeah,
judges.
we're very
Okay,
busy.
good.
We're
Good for
very
you.
busy. We're very busy. And so, you know, the cases come to us and then they become assigned to our docket.
Is that is there a phone number that's set up on a website or like something? How do people get the phone number to ask about this?
They can just call me.
Mm-hmm.
My number is
Okay, there you go.
216-443-8809. So that's my direct line in the office.
Could you repeat that one more time for us?
Sure. 216-443-8809.
Well, I'm going to cut to the very end. I apologize for going all the ways forward. So, what happens if, let's say, one party is like, can it be terminated at any time? Okay. So, if it comes to, let's say, what a trial where there's going to be witnesses and different things like that, are those therapists, counselors, people, will they come in and testify if you subpoena them or have them come in? Is that something that they will do, or is that how it's set up?
Well, fortunately, we haven't gotten to the point where, you know, a case has
Okay.
failed, you know, or someone has not completed the program. But certainly, if it got to that point, then yes, those counselors and therapists are potential witnesses, just as in any other case.
Well, Magistrate, is there a report? I know, like with the court has their clinic that they do evaluations. Is there a report from any of those agencies that you work with for this program? Do they create a report that's accessible to anyone?
So the reporting, because we have a case manager through More Counseling and Mediation Services, so they are the gatekeeper of the information. So they gather the information. So typically I won't actually see those reports. It'll say, I guess the best way that I can describe it without saying they're a guardian ad litem, but it's treated somewhat like a guardian ad litem doing an investigation, receiving information, and they're acting as a case manager. They come in, they say, okay, Judge, this is what, you know, based upon the service providers, this is what we see. What they don't do, though, is they don't make a recommendation to the court about parenting time. They only tell me or make a recommendation to the court regarding treatment services, and they let me know how people are progressing in treatment.
And those individuals come every hearing?
The case manager from Moore accompanies the parents to every hearing. There's one case manager per family, so they meet individually with mom as well as dad, and we also have services for the children if needed. And that person reports in and attends every court hearing.
Okay.
It's just because, to kind of dovetail on your question, you know, I see the potential danger if you have a client who needs services and you avail yourself of this program, and then for whatever reason it's terminated, whether it's, you know, a relapse in substance abuse or what have you, then you're opening your client up on some level to that evidence coming in a negative way at a potential trial. And so I'm just trying to, you know, try to evaluate the risk.
For your client.
As
For your
litigators,
client.
as litigators,
absolutely.
obviously we're taking the, what happens if this fails? What do we do if it fails? How do we advise our clients? Because potentially we could be doing our clients a lot of damage.
Well,
Right.
you know what? So then let's take this scenario. If you have a client, let's say like if you have, you both are on opposite ends, I'll make you adversaries here, okay? And, you know, Attorney Cherry, you come in and accuse Attorney Bartos' client of using drugs, right? Then what is the court gonna do? I'm gonna order a random urine screen. Say both your clients right now go and take a random urine screen. So if his client comes back positive for something, then I'm going to say, okay, now you have to come. I need an assessment. So it's the same thing, you know, with the exception of, you know, Attorney Bartos' client would have presented himself to the court and acknowledged that he had a problem, and then the court would say, okay, let us help you to get through this.
We never advise our clients, don't
No,
ever
good.
go and admit that you're
Right,
using drugs.
right. Well,
Let them,
ultimately-
we'll
But
protect.
ultimately, as Magistrate Jackson Winston can say, I mean, it'll come out.
It
If,
will.
if your client is using it, I mean, it comes out. Either the other parent is going to say that, or someone's going to talk to the child, and the child's going to bring it out. It's going to come out. And so, we understand that relapse is a part of recovery, right? So, we're not going to say, oh, you absolutely fail, you lose custody because you relapse. I mean, we're going to find a way to work through those problems, because otherwise Magistrate Jackson Winston she's going to see them on her post-decree docket.
That's right. And you know what? I
You
think
gotta
that
keep coming back. Keep
Yeah.
coming back.
I think a lot of people would have maybe gotten help if it wasn't for the stigma associated with treatment. And what we do with our program is help to remove one of the barriers to treatment, and that's stigma. Because we understand that this is a part of life. 1 in 4 are dealing with a mental health issue, and 20% of the population is dealing with a mental health and or drug and alcohol issue. And we know that this is a part of American, life. So what we should do is just deal with it so that we can help our families be stronger.
And part of our goal is to make sure that the families don't rely upon the court in the future for interventions. So it's important that families are aware of resources in their community, because after the divorce, new issues may arise, but they should know who to reach out to, who to contact in their own communities for assistance in the future, so that we don't have as many post-decree filings. That's part of our goal, is to reduce the number of post-decree filings based solely on parenting issues, so that when they leave the Families First program, they have a long-term parenting plan that they can live with. And they've had some interventions. They know where to go if there's a relapse. They know where to go if new issues arise, and it's right there in their own community.
That sounds wonderful. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I think the program probably is too new. Would you agree with me that you haven't gotten to the point yet where you can track the success as far as reducing
Correct.
post-decree filings of any kind? I assume you intend to track it?
Yes, we have an evaluation that's underway
Okay.
through one of the professors or staff people at Case Western Reserve. So they're partnering with us to gather our data and measure the success of our clients. So we
Who's
should
that
have
through
some
again?
numbers. Case Western Reserve,
Okay.
that's one of our partners on our treatment team and our advisory board. So they're working with us to evaluate the program as we go along.
Fantastic. Have you had any could you tell us about some maybe mild successes? Magistrate, have you had any where people are doing very well on it? They're cooperating.
We've had some parents
Yeah.
who started off at opposite ends of the spectrum, okay? Whereas parent A says parent B can never see the kids, period, because of some traumatic event that took place in between them during the course of the separation, anything of that nature. But with the supports in place, we've been able to at least establish a supervised visitation schedule. And we do stress the importance of the children having access to both parents when both parents are in a healthy place. So we have been able to get them to kind of come towards the middle, with the understanding that we put safety of the children first. So we would never put the children in a position to be in danger or in harm's way if we can avoid that. So we've gotten parents to kind of come to the middle and say, okay,
Good.
I'll go to DVCAC and let them see the kids there.
What is you're throwing out
Domestic
some?
Violence Child Advocacy Center.
Okay, great.
That's our supervised visitation center.
Okay.
And then even in cases where, and we're probably thinking about the same case, and this actually came from the post-decree docket, from Magistrate Jackson Winston's docket, and the parents, the communication was horrible. One of the parents has co-occurring issues and unemployed. So, lack of transportation, lack of financial resources, and not in treatment. And so we've been able to arrange for supervised parenting time, and the mother was indicating that the children are very bonded with their father, and that they missed him. But however, she did not have anyone whom she trusted in her life or his life to appropriately supervise the parenting time. So we were able to connect them with a supervised parenting. We've ensured that he received the referral and the assistance that he needed to get into treatment. And then we even provide bus tickets for transportation to and from his parenting time. And so that's a great outcome.
Where is that supervised visits at? Like, is
It's
there?
a non-disclosed
Yes.
location.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there, I'm just saying, because some places have a building, I know Safe and
Right.
Sound.
Well, it's, so
another
it's at
program.
Safe and Sound.
Right.
So
Okay, okay.
Safe and Sound, yeah, the DVCAC runs Safe and Sound.
Got
so,
it,
yeah,
okay.
so it's at Safe and Sound.
Okay. No, we concentrate on the parents a little bit. Let's say there's a traumatic event in the children's lives. Do you also set up set up counseling and stuff like that for
Yeah.
children?
Yes.
We do.
And not just the parents?
Yes.
We do.
So a lot of it is not just the parents, but child-based.
Correct.
It's for the family.
Yeah.
Different pieces for whichever, relative needs different things.
We have several agencies that participate on our advisory board: Belfair, Jewish Children's Bureau, Applewood Centers Incorporated, Change of Direction, and then our hospitals also have youth programs, so Laurelwood and Glen Bay. So if the kids have issues that arise or the
Oh, you
parents,
said Glen Bay, so even if the kids have drug problems,
Yeah.
yes.
you can,
Yes.
oh, that's
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes, we're able to
Okay.
refer for services.
So we
Very good.
we offer a plethora because every family's needs are going to be different, and we recognize that.
How does insurance play a role in this program? Because you just talked about a family where one parent had zero in the way of financial resources. Either she's on Medicaid or not, or doesn't have access to insurance in any way. Let's say a person comes in and has no ability to pay for the services, whether it's by insurance or not. How do you arrange that?
So we have received a grant from the Adams Board, Cuyahoga County, what is it?
Alcohol, drug, and mental health.
Thank you.
For the
Yes.
Cuyahoga County.
Okay.
And so we have funds available through that grant that will pay for treatment. We are also a partner agency or a partner program with More Counseling and Mediation Services, and they just received a
$1.5 million grant from SAMHSA to assist with those who have opiate use disorder diagnoses. So their treatment can, in essence, be paid for in full through this grant. But it's not just opiates, but opiates are big right now. It's a big issue in the state, so we do have additional funding available for those that are battling that.
So let me just make this clear for the listeners and the watchers. But if you have insurance, the insurance is used first.
yes,
Correct.
yes, if it's available to be used.
Okay. Is there any costs to to even start the program? Like when they call you, is there an initial fee
No.
that people have to pay? It's
No.
just whatever services that you guys that get sent out. It's set up either through insurance
Or through the grant.
or through the grant. I'm sure there's income levels that
They
they
do
might
a
have to
benefits
need.
coordination through More Counseling and Mediation to make sure that everyone has the services they need in place.
As far as roadblocks, do people have to present like pay stubs,
No,
Not to
tax
the
ret-
court.
Not to the
tax
court.
returns,
No, not
or
to the
anything like
court.
that?
No, they More Counseling will go through whatever process for income verification that they follow.
Okay.
They go through that. But I will say that recently we had someone who's receiving supervised parenting time, and he had a copay for his parenting time that we thought was like, whoa, had never.
It was a barrier.
Yeah, it was a barrier, and so we were able to, through the program, pay for his supervised parenting time.
Sounds like
And
it's a
so-
great program
Yeah.
to really get through to some families.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know we've had some cases that they're back. The case is over and they're back a month later.
Yeah, yeah.
And usually the distrust between the parents that are built in because of either a substance abuse problem or a mental health problem or both, as you mentioned, it creates that barrier to resolution of a case, especially on the parenting side. And you can keep a case open for a very, very long time while you're trying to battle through that portion of the case. And at least if it sounds like if it's being managed and and there's a positive outcomes being developed over the course of time, you build that trust back,
Right.
and make resolution more possible as opposed to going to trial, which is never good for any parent, I don't think, or the children.
I mean, divorce can be an ugly process. So that's
Sure.
just the truth of the matter. So our goal is to make sure that we keep it as amenable as possible and amicable, and just keep the parents focused on the goal. And the goal is for the children to have two healthy parents.
And we tell them, like, we're not trying to prevent you from getting divorced. Like, you know, the goal of this is not to get one person sober or have them address their mental health issues and then they reunify. That's not, you know, that's not the goal. I mean, if it happens, yay, but, you know, that's not.
I wanted to ask that. I said, have you had any times when they've gotten together and they're like, oh, he's so much better now. Now I can stay married to him.
No.
No.
Well,
But I mean, but that, you know, so ultimately the goal is really just to focus on parenting. And while we're doing the, you know, treatment and intervention type things, the financial side of the case is still moving. So I'm still talking about, you know, ultimately resolving the case, right? Because I have 18 months, right?
Yes.
for those of you who don't know, the Supreme Court of Ohio has guidelines as far as times. Judge, or magistrate, could you explain what some of those timelines are?
Well, okay, so it's you know, it's 18 months for a divorce with children that I have to get the case resolved, and then Magistrate Jackson Winston has less time
Yes.
on her post-decree docket for motions that have been filed.
How is the time frame for motions?
You know what? I'm like,
I think it's
just,
90
Nine-
days,
yeah.
isn't it?
it depends. The show calls is 90 days. For
Right.
parenting, I think it's 9 months.
9 months.
Okay.
9 months.
So
I
I
knew there
have
was a
9
in there
months.
someplace.
To
Yeah.
get things done. And what I think the program really helps to accomplish is it also helps our children, because it helps to bring awareness to them. And they need that, because a lot of these are family issues that you'll see later on when the children grow up. Like, they may have those same type of issues as well. So it helps people to, again, eradicate stigma, start working on what could be potential problems later on.
Okay.
Do you find, at least in your experience so far, do you find that the program might challenge the time frames? In other words, because you are going through treatment and maybe there's a couple hiccups along the way and you have to, you know, reinitiate a treatment program for somebody or redesign it, that you are running up against your Supreme Court time limit?
Okay, so now you know how I am about my time limits, right?
I don't know what you're talking about, Your Honor.
Yes, you do. Look, he knows.
So here's the thing, right? Is that first of all, you know, the time limits are very important, and I certainly respect that, and you know, they are required by Supreme Court, so it's really part of what's driving the case, right? However, this is so important, like, to me, you know, that we assist families with working through these problems. And so if we're able to get a case resolved, and I try to within the time limits, and then we can set them for review hearings, you know, after the fact. So we can resolve the case, and then it doesn't, like, you know, once the divorce is final, it doesn't just go away. You know, it remains on my docket, or either Magistrate Jackson Winston for review, and we continue to monitor the families. So just because the divorce is final, the case doesn't have to be final if the family requires additional time. It's like our case management services
yeah.
that we offer through FES. However, and that's
What
our
is
family.
FES?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's our Family Evaluation Services Department at the court. So people.
And I apologize. FES does evaluations and recommends
and recommendations,
okay.
and then they also do case management services.
Okay.
For certain
I
cases.
apologize for those. FES does an evaluation. They talk to everybody and then recommend, saying, "Oh, this mom maybe should be custodian, and dad have this set up visitation." Correct.
Right, right.
Okay.
But FES is not involved with the Families First program.
Okay.
Okay, we don't want to put additional burdens, I would say, on court
Have you
resources at this time.
have you found that, like, if you're getting close to time frames, do you prefer, like, you just need another month? You just need another month to finalize everything. Do you ever go over timelines, or do you prefer that people, because I mean, obviously, things can be dismissed and then refiled to technically restart the time frame. Is there a preference? What kind of guidelines do you guys go by with something like that?
I mean, I prefer to resolve the case. Honestly, I think that when, although, as a judge and as practitioner and court people, we understand that in reality, discovery, keeps going. You're not starting over from the beginning. But clients don't necessarily understand that. All they hear is that they've wasted a filing fee. They've been coming to courts, let's say to court for 18 months, and now another 18 months of this, not realizing that, no, this, it won't take as long. So if I feel that a case is close to resolution and that the attorneys are continuing to work diligently and that clients are being cooperative, I'll allow the case to proceed. We're rolling, especially if we have a trial date coming up within a couple of months, okay? But if I feel as though the parties are not being cooperative, that, we've come on for trial and now, one party has discovered something that, the other party failed to disclose and it's gonna take extensive investigation, then my preference is that the case be dismissed and refiled.
Okay.
Well, I just want to jump in one more time. Wanted to get that number out there if somebody wanted to call in for our program to ask any questions of the panel. Our number again is 216-298-1554. That number again is 216-298-1554. And, we have a great discussion going on, but question I have is, and this is more for us attorneys, have you find where the attorneys are a barrier to doing what Families First is supposed to be doing?
No, not at all. Not the Families First program. I mean, I think that the attorneys that have been involved in the program are very excited. They see the benefit. I believe a couple of your cases, they approached you and asked you
they
if
did.
they could, hey, we've heard about this program. Can we be a part of it?
Yeah, what kind of feedback have you gotten from the people in it?
People
Is it a
are
good
very
thing?
happy.
Are a lot of people saying this isn't working, or what kind of feedback are you getting?
I'm getting good feedback from the attorneys. They
Fantastic.
come back and thank me that we were able to refer to the docket and that their litigants had an opportunity to be a part of it, because most of the people who practice in domestic relations court, they care about families. That's what I've been saying, that they really care about families and they want to see a good outcome for families. In this program, we're hoping that it helps to do that. We know it is.
I've heard attorneys say that we're filling a gap. That there was a time where, you may have had a client where you felt needed some services, but there wasn't an avenue to get that.
Or it was just shipped off to juvenile court?
Oh.
I've had a couple of those where it's like, this divorce isn't going to happen.
Right.
We're not going to resolve these
Right.
issues, and it gets sent
We
to
can
Or some
juvenile
of
resolve
the
the
court.
other
divorce,
issues.
but the kid issues gotta go.
Right.
Yep.
Right,
Right.
because
Yeah.
there was no
Yeah.
programs or anything to
Yeah.
be like, I don't want to see dad. I hate dad.
Right.
Yeah.
How
Well,
do you-
mental
how do
health
you
and
overcome
substance
that?
abuse have a way of becoming a glaring thing, like
Sure.
a flashing light when you're dealing with a family. And our goal is to make sure that we address the flashing light. We're not just there to divorce families. We're there to put them in a healthy place and not so reliant upon the court that they can't function without, I'm going to go file a motion. I'm going to go file a motion.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
else can we do besides
absolutely
file
right.
a motion?
Right.
Who else can you
Right.
call? Not to put attorneys out of business, because attorneys are important, but the court has another job, and our job is also to make people aware of what's available to them in the community so that they can be a little more self-sufficient, because it's better off for the kids.
And to not get frustrated and just give up. I mean, could you imagine if you have let's say a dad who has a substance use disorder and mom is saying you can't see the kids, then he's going to be less likely to file a motion to show cause and come before Magistrate Jackson Winston, because then she's going to present herself and say, I didn't let him go because he's using, so
Right.
he's not going to aggressively pursue that.
Right.
And so, hopefully with this Families First program, that people will know, she talked about removing the stigma, that you can come before the court and we'll say, okay, what can we do to help?
I was considering asking you about the financial impacts of, in particular, substance abuse, but also mental health to some degree on the process of divorce. And what I hear a lot from clients when they come in and they're accusing the other party of a rampant substance abuse issue is that there's a financial aspect to that. There is not just the fact that they are underemployed or unemployed, but they may be running up credit cards. They may be drawing down resources from other parts of the marital estate. Is there a particular way that you manage that portion of it when you're managing these family first cases?
Well, I mean, it's just, we have our restraining orders, the mutual restraining orders that the court issues, and the case proceeds financially, on the financial side, just as a case that's not a part of the Families First program will proceed. And so, I deal with pretrial motions concerning finances or, financial abuse or misbehavior in the same way I would in another case. So if we have to issue temporary orders for child support, if that's what's appropriate, then that's what happens. If we have to issue orders regarding the allocation of monthly responsibilities, that happens.
So maybe I want to make sure. So if we're talking about, you said there's child support orders, and he's got a mental health issue,
And if he has a
or
job,
drug addiction,
right? And if he's
or if he
working,
doesn't have a job, that's right. He doesn't have a job because he just sits at his desk all day and stares at the computer because he's manic depressant, and that comes in on a show cause because he's not paying child support or he lost his job. They're treated the exact same as if someone that didn't have mental health problems or drug addiction, and just say you're in violation, you're found in contempt of court.
Well, okay, so here's the difference. And we actually haven't had a scenario, I guess, coming out of the child support show cause. So that would be dealt with differently, I would say, because it's not necessarily a child issue with regards to parenting time. So that's not something that would come into the Families First program. So our child support magistrates would deal with that case just as they would any other case. I mean, if he
I'm talking about just like in a regular divorce.
Well, so in a regular divorce, if you have a person who has zero income, right, then the court can impute income, but then that would be based upon all of the factors that I would have to consider prior to imputing income to
Which
someone.
would include mental health.
That's
Okay,
right, which would
okay.
include that. So if that person does not have the ability to work, then I'm gonna find that this person is imputed to zero. So then they would not have a child support order.
What about the distribution of debt? So, as we all know, the statute says equal unless
It's gonna
equal
be
is
equal.
not,
It's going to be equal.
unless equal is not equitable.
Right. Well,
Right.
here. So I think it's different if you have a person, like if I can see where one spouse let's say somebody has a gambling
Okay.
problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've, run up the credit card and I can see that they're at Jack Casino.
For the past 3 years.
Right. Then of course, like I'm going to say that this person committed financial misconduct. I'm not going to leave one person in the divorce more burdened by another person's bad behavior than I would if the case were not in the Families First program. So, I'm going to consider some things, but I'm not gonna excuse that person's behavior, and it's gonna be a consequence. And I would hope that towards the end of the case, after the person has received the treatment services that they need, that they'll recognize that this is equitable. That even though you've are now recovered or in recovery, there are consequences for your behavior, and you can't escape those consequences.
And also, perhaps when the people go to more mediation and counseling, if they're so severely ill, they may be eligible to receive, Social Security benefits or some other type of disability through their employment. So we do, case managers can help with that.
How do you refer people to make Social Security claims then? Is that part of what you do, or do you just refer them out to somebody else?
When more mediation and counseling works with
Okay.
that individual, they will prepare a case plan that could possibly have that as one of the goals of what they're going to work on. They have to go and sit down with the person to determine what intervention needs to be administered or put in place.
Okay.
But that's something where the individual would have to go find or apply for Social Security themselves.
But the case manager may help them with that.
Or connect them.
Right, with the right
Okay.
people to do that with them.
Okay.
Okay. Well, sorry, I was at an impasse. Do you have something, David?
No, I was just, no, it sounds great. It sounds like a great program that you're working with. I wanted to get back to like raw numbers as far as the program. How many families do you think you have in the program right now?
5.
We have 4 and 1 referral pending.
Okay.
So 8 parents, and I think we're servicing 10 children.
And that's only since, I think we took
October.
October.
Okay.
We started in October of 18.
I would think it would be higher. I really would think it would be higher to get
Well-
people to
well,
do.
I think
It
that's-
sounds like a great program. Are you having any feedback from other judges, or how do the judges know about this program?
Well, of course, I mean, the court staff are aware, the judges are aware. We talk about it in our judges meeting. I actually am very pleased with the fact that we have, let's say 4 and only 1 coming in, so 5, because it's given us an opportunity to make adjustments as,
Wonderful.
As necessary, and then also to add new partners, as different needs have come up. A lot of it just comes from the magistrates or the judges saying, I think this case would be really good for the Families First program. One of the cases that we took in, I think, had been pending on another docket for like 9 months or so, and there was no parenting time. And so that's a long time, and so we were able to get the case in and to get it moving towards that, because as you both know, our domestic relations court is one of the busiest in the state of Ohio, and these cases do take a lot of time. And so if I'm a judge and I'm sitting there and someone is saying, no, I don't have a problem, and okay, you tested positive, you're not willing to go to treatment, parenting time suspended, and there are a few financial resources, divorce granted, moving on, and so this program pauses on even those cases.
Well, and it holds the parties' feet to the fire to say, do something or we're just moving along. You got to acknowledge that there's an issue.
And the program is intensive. They come to court once a month. And that's just to address the parenting issues. There may be subsequent hearings in addition to their Family First hearings.
Okay.
So there might be issues pertaining to real estate or pension that have nothing to do with Families
Or
First.
the
So we may
normal
have
process of a
Right.
divorce.
Right. But these cases are more intensive and the judicial supervision is higher. So whereas we may have 4 families, that we could have 10 hearings on those 4 families in 1 month. So it could depend upon how the needs and how often they need to be seen.
How does, and I'm asking generally, if these people have attorneys, on those hearings, I know you were going to go, if we have limited funds and you
Right.
have attorneys, do the attorneys come to all those parenting hearings? Or what have you discovered about that? Because that could get costly if your attorney's going down.
They come, the attorneys come, and what we do is we try to combine, combine the hearings. So we'll take care of the Families First part, and then, dismiss the case manager or what other professionals that may be there, and then we will turn to address the financial parts of the case. But like I said before, we can finalize the divorce and then set the matter for review if there are still pending issues. And so the case doesn't have to go on inevitably. We have some people who represent themselves. We do have some self-represented individuals in the Families First program. So not all of our cases have attorneys on them.
Okay.
Do you find that in a lot of your cases, not just the Family First cases, but the children issues are what's dragging this out. Because finances, I mean, at least from our point of view, it's like, well, you got a house, you got pensions,
Right.
you put in this column, you put in this column. If you split everything 50-50, this is what we got. But then we have these family issues that seem, because it always changes. Like, you could have it almost all set out, then dad tests positive the day before the last hearing. Do you find that the children's issues are dragging out, or what drags out these cases?
I do.
Now wait a second. Why are you guys smiling?
I'm smiling at the young man. He's so
Oh,
cute.
okay. We have a friend over there that's just kind of bored out of his mind.
Right, and
So
I'm
I
smiling at him
apologize.
'cause he made a cute face to me. It
I
reminds
know, I
us
forgot
why
my
we're here, the
question.
kids.
Oh,
I
the
think
family
that-
issues
Yeah.
dragging it out.
Yeah, well, the child issues in the case are the most important issues.
That's right. So smiling at him.
And so, for me, on the pre-decree, I deal with those first. So, like, my first pretrial is about kids, because I don't want to hear about the finances, other than, let's say, child support maybe, or if there are some immediate financial issues that need to be addressed, then that's fine. But during my first pretrial, I really want to talk about, parenting time. How are the kids? Do we need to make a referral for some type of reunification counseling services or something like that? So, because of, go ahead.
I apologize. No, is the Families First also deal with reunification?
Absolutely, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I would say,
Because I had a case that was sent down late last year too. That this program sounds like it would have been right up their alley, instead of getting into juvenile court.
Well, it just sounds like another tool that we can use to, manage cases for our clients, and with an outcome that's going to keep the family together. And isn't that what we all are trying to do?
Yeah, because now that it's separate, oh my gosh, things have gotten so much more complicated because of child support issues. Spousal support, well, we can't get rid of spousal support at this date because child support's messed up at this end, and they're not touching that. So this sounds like something to really help out, not even the kids' visitation stuff, but to manage the divorce in general.
And sometimes it can be a support to attorneys as well, because I know your clients can utilize you as a hotline for help.
Sure.
So they just call their attorney
She's doing
constantly.
this, she's doing that.
Right.
She was
Right.
15 minutes late.
Right. And now they have a case manager who can assist with those crises and who can assist in coming up with a plan, so that the attorney is not the first line of defense, but you can get more into your role as the litigator and not the case manager.
You don't have to sell me any more on it. This sounds fantastic.
And presumably, a case manager wouldn't cost as much as a guardian ad litem either,
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's the
correct.
other
Is there-
person.
yeah,
That's
well,
correct.
Right.
What costs? Is there a cost for the case managers that all handle through the?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Because oftentimes
You guys are awesome. Thank you for getting this program together. This is fantastic.
in your experience, Mr. Bartos, that oftentimes if they can't get a hold of us, then they go to the guardian, and the
The
guardian's
Guardian's charging up money.
try, and then they get that sticker shock at the end of the case, the $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 bill
Brings up
that's
a great question.
after you.
Usually the guardian ad litem is the one that drives, I don't want to say drives, but has a lot of input. Have you had where the cases you haven't needed a GAL? Because it sounds like this program might take away some of the need for one.
No, so here, in fact, I have a case where recently, one of the parties requested to have a guardian ad litem on the case, and we appointed a guardian ad litem. I don't want people to feel as though they're losing anything by being a part of the program. So, if you want a guardian ad litem, that's fine. You can have a guardian ad litem. Let's come bring in a different perspective. And it's more so because they feel as though, not that they disagree with the case manager, because again, the case manager isn't making any recommendations regarding parenting time, is because they're disagreeing with me, the court. That they feel that my perspective on what's happening it needs to be I guess expanded, or I need a little bit adjusted.
Sure.
Yeah, that I need a little bit more information, and so they moved for a guardian ad litem. And sure, the more information I have, the better informed I am when I make my decisions.
Just for the purposes of our listeners and viewers, in case you don't know, a guardian ad litem is an attorney that is assigned by the court upon motion of one or both parties to represent the interests of the child or children in the case. They conduct an investigation and typically, at the end of the case, issue a recommendation or a report to the court recommending one parent or a shared parenting agreement or one parent having custody and what visitation arrangement is appropriate, just in case you don't already know. And is there a goal for this program to expand beyond Cuyahoga County? Or is this,
Or even into juvenile
or
court.
am I getting way ahead of myself?
Well, we haven't crossed that bridge yet.
Yeah. I'll say that, this, as far as we know of, this is the first program of its kind
Right.
in the state of Ohio. And we've actually been contacted by judges outside of Cuyahoga County who are coming to take a look at our program and see exactly how we're doing it. I think it's a lot like what they're doing in juvenile court already, to a certain extent, except for if you're in juvenile court, it's not voluntary. You have a children and family services case, you don't choose, you can't opt out.
Right.
You have to, you're required to participate and complete services. And so, I think that for, that reason, I would love to see the program expand.
And replicate it.
Yeah,
We would love
think
that.
Yeah, when I came to domestic relations court, it was like, okay, this is a great place to be, and I really want to help families, but I wasn't exactly feeling as though we were really helping the families. Like, there was a little bit more that I could do on my docket, that, well, man, this person needs treatment, but of course, treatment is voluntary under this type of circumstance, but, what can we do to really help people? And I was very fortunate to have Bianca as my bailiff. She has some grant writing experience and some, grant supervision experience. And so we just kind of put our heads together, and, a magistrate came in, and we, just like, okay, so what can we do? And we just began to come up with this, idea and to put it on paper, and to, then seek partnership with people in the community who was like, oh my goodness, yeah, that's a good idea. And, but how would we do this? Because it's different from
So I have to
the
ask,
other drug court
Is it
programs.
just like at the court, or you guys out having dinner one
No,
night?
no, this
Over
was-
some drinks and say, hey, wait,
No.
I got an idea.
No,
Let's
actually,
do
you know
this.
what? We
No.
eat lunch together every day,
Right,
and so we
right.
have like these power lunches where we talk about, cases and stuff like that, and then it's like, oh man, we really could do this, or, can we? So
I
yeah,
wish
No,
we
that's-
could.
yeah.
Did you take any input from the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas Drug Court or Mental Health docket?
We have. We've spoken with those judges, and but of course, those are criminal cases, right?
Yeah.
So they have a bigger carrot, a bigger stick than I do.
That's
so
right.
we needed to come up with a carrot. They use a stick, but because people don't have a choice to participate, they want to be in their programs because that's treatment in lieu of incarceration.
That's right.
Well, you still have a big stick. You still have a stick. Listen, you're going to do this. If you don't do this,
You're
we're
not-
going to have a hearing. And you know what?
You're not get your parenting.
You don't
time.
get your parenting time.
Right.
That's
But
it.
we
That's
try
our
to use
stick.
it more positively and say it's a carrot.
Yes.
That once you complete treatment, you're going to increase your parenting time. So we try to use it more of a positive than a negative. Like, I want parents to, the program is voluntary. So people want to be a part. They want to, increase their parenting time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we
I
have a-
think, how many people have we encountered that have been in treatment and they say their only motivation to change is their kids?
Right.
The only reason I'm here is because I want to be better for my kids. So there really is no inherent motivator greater than that, to have that relationship with your kids and to role model for your kids that you can overcome things like mental health or substance abuse. It doesn't have to define who you are forever.
And just in my experience, the stick for any individual person, the rock bottom for a person in substance abuse is different for every single person.
Absolutely.
And so you'd be surprised, or maybe not, for the three of you, that sometimes the kids isn't enough. Sometimes it has to be something else.
Right.
But you're absolutely correct, Bianca, that the loss of access and time with children is often the thing that wakes people up to the reality of their substance abuse and gets them into treatment. And if that's what it takes, you make a healthier family at the end of the day because of it.
Some people, that's one reason why they're even getting divorced. So they already know that they're reaching what we would consider their bottom.
Right.
And losing their kids is the ultimate bottom. So they've lost so much and they don't want to lose that.
Right. Usually by then the family is more or less separated. The jobs are gone.
Yeah.
The income's gone.
That's right.
There may be some criminal convictions leading up to.
We have a few families that are also at the Justice Center in addition to being at domestic relations court.
You're kidding.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
coordinating all of that is
Attorney
also
is
a
like
piece of what we do
surprise.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. We've got a few minutes left, but I feel we're kind of at the natural end of this discussion. Let's,
Any last thoughts?
yeah.
I would just say that, if there are attorneys out there or litigants who have cases pending in the domestic relations court and you'd like to be a part of the Families First program, we would love to, have you assessed for the appropriateness of the program and reach out to us.
And again, that phone number, Bianca?
216-443-8809.
Very good. Anything else?
Just
Thank you for having us.
Oh,
Well-
no, thank you. It sounds like a wonderful program, and best of luck to you. I hope it expands, and sounds like wonderful, wonderful stuff.
Yeah, I really hope to see a few more families get into this program because in my experience, many clients come to me with allegations of either substance abuse or drug abuse from the other party. And it would just be so much more, I think it would be so much better for the children at the end of the case and so much better for the family going forward and avoid those post-decree motions that end up on Magistrate Jackson Winston's docket
So we want
and
to
keep her busy.
thank you. We want to thank you for having the program. Thank you for coming in and helping everyone learn more about it. And you guys have a great night. And thank you, listeners.
Thank you.
You guys have a great one.
All right.
You too.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.